Okay guys, we're ready to put the valve together. So what I do is I wrap the threads of the valve with thread tape, being careful not to get any thread tape up against the rubber seal and the inside of the valve. And this helps the valve to seal better, and I do it generally 1.5 turns maybe. There we go, maybe, yeah, okay. So we got that, and we just lay it down, and then when we put the valve together, the thread tape will help it seal a lot better. So there we go. So let's put our little check valve in here, put our spring in there, connect it to our stem, and we're ready to tighten it up. So let me grab my vice grips here and just very easily grab this. It don't need to be crazy tight, you guys. So, and then go ahead and tighten it up. There it is. Alright, like I said, in mods, you're kind of in and out of the valve all the time, just messing with it and making improvements or, putting in new parts or something like that. So it's not a deal where you got to get crazy tight. So there is the valve assembly. Now, let me see here if I can find a pump rod. So if you've got a pump rod like this, as opposed to maybe an adjustable one like this, so you can clearly take the pump cup closer to the valve, reducing headspace. Now if you haven't got an adjustable one, there's something that can be done to get you by, I guess, and let's just talk about it for a minute. This is the end of the valve right here. So I got a smaller O-ring. So this is going to basically go right over it, just like that. Ease it on the best that I can. Get it as even all the way around as I can. Now, when I assemble the valve, let's say that I'm putting this together. I assemble the valve, and I have my thread tape on here now to make sure it seals good. And I just increase the tension, make sure the O-ring stays in there the best that I can, and then tighten it up. Now what happens is the valve is that much longer. So instead of moving the pump cup towards the valve, you're essentially moving the valve towards the pump cup, which reduces headspace, and that's the name of the game, to pressure. So, that's just an idea, in case you got a non-adjustable pump cup extension that, you can just kind of do this, and it'll all, you can experiment and see how well it works and everything like that. But that's just something that I've seen on a video, and it seemed like a good idea as long as the valve seals, and I use thread tape anyway, so there we go. But so now the valve's assembled, and let me see here. Oh, okay, let's talk about air pressure, and let's talk about how that really plays out to everything. Okay guys, let's talk about the pump cup. So right here we have our valve, and right here's the pump cup, and what we basically have is, when this goes together and it's not under any air pressure, well, let me grab this one. Yeah, this is better. Yeah, there we go. You see, when it's not under any air pressure, you have this going on like this right here. So And that's what we see when we open up the valve and there's no air pressure. But when we have air pressure, let's say we pump it, 8 or 10 times, what happens is it gets an area right in front of the tip there that opens up for air pressure. Now, let me see if I can find a valve, a pump cup, I mean. And see, this pump cup, air don't push that well on radiuses. But here where it's flat, down in the bottom, it pushes extremely well. And what happens is you get kind of a bubble effect. Now this stuff, the pump cup material, it don't compress, it deforms. So for it to deform, it has to have a place to deform too. So if I'm looking at this without any pressure, it's not accurate. So what we need to do is look at it when we're modding air guns, is how it's going to act under pressure, because most of the time it's under pressure unless you just fired it. So understanding that flat point in there, air pressure pushes very effectively on that, but the radius around it, it's not as efficient. So now one of the designs behind this was it was easier to pump than a flat top piston, say, but it also had a safety feature to where it would increase the headspace to where you couldn't just make crazy amounts of pressure and but what we're trying to do is alleviate where it expands to minimize the headspace. So let me show you, we got the, here's one. Now in here, this is the rod to the valve cup, the pump cup, and in here is kind of a square edge, It's this kind of down in there, it's this kind of square, and if this comes down and this makes that corner. But on the valve design, or on the pump cup design, you've got a chamfer right here. And what happens is that chamfer actually fills in that square space. So when you've got it under pressure, actually the bottom of the pump cup is square. It's actually doing that, if you can, see that. It's this air's pushing that thing to fill every void inside the pump cup rod, and that's where the area is coming from, or that's where the material's going to give you that added space, which is bad for headspace. It's it increases your headspace basically. So what we need to do is adjustable pump cup, and it you can adjust it down to take up that space for when this deforms, and it will, you can have a more pressure, as in less headspace. Now the O-rings are the exact same way. So the O-ring material doesn't compress, it deforms, but it's got to have a place to deform too. Well, where's that place at? It's between the air tube and the valve. So if you're pumping and you pump it 10, 12 times or whatever, what'll happen is you'll have a space right in there, and the air pressure is pushing the O-ring back. Now that adds to headspace. So that's one of the deals you got to compensate for when you want to make pressure. So zero headspace is infinite pressure. So you're not getting zero headspace. But this is a valve out of my Remington Airmaster 77, and you could see how the air has pushed that O-ring. As I was building pressure, the air was actually trying to squeeze that O-ring between the valve and the air tube to where it was shearing it off. It was actually this O-ring was right at the verge of failure. I mean, it was still doing its job. It was still making good pressure, but it was, you know, you can see that it was almost pushing that O-ring just right between the valve and the pump tube. So that's one of the things that with modding, you got to get the headspace down, and you got to deal with all kinds of things to, you know, compensate for all the movement of everything. So let's do a mod real quick. Something I come up with, and it was the best solution. Maybe you guys might have a better idea, but let me get the stuff together, and let's see if we can, I'll show you that and see what you guys think. Okay guys, let me show you what I come up with. I have some solder here, very small size, and basically what I did is I took the pump cup out and I strung this out and wrapped it around my pump cup, and then I put it inside there, and I kind of fit it and had to cut it, and the idea here is that solder may fill in that chamfer right there. So I put it in there and I fit it, and it's kind of tedious getting this to fit in there real good and have the pump cup seat down where it needs to be. And then I just assemble it like so. And the idea being is when the pump cup's under pressure, it can't fill in this. It can't move or displace where that solder is. And I hope the solder is strong enough to where it resists the pressure, but also molds into that corner. So if you can see here, the corner of this is actually sharp. You know, it comes down and it turns that corner on the bottom there, and the pump cup has a chamfer on it. So the idea here is that when pressure builds up, it don't deform into that area. It maintains its headspace, you know. So, and then I just fit that in there, and that's the best that I come up with. Maybe you guys have a better idea, but you know, without an adjustable pump rod, this is really the best I come up with, you know. So like I said, if you guys have a better idea, and I don't think the solder's hard enough to where if it got in the pump tube it would scratch it or anything, but I don't know that for sure. So if you guys do this stuff, this is my opinions and my ideas and stuff, and you know, I'm just not responsible. So try this stuff if you want to, or just watch my videos and be entertained, I hope. But like I said, I think this right here is a good idea, and you guys may come up with something better, but this restricts that pump cup from deforming into the area, and it helps maintain, you know, headspace. So, you know, that was the idea. So I hope you guys like this. So let's put this bad boy back together. Okay guys, I think we got it. I didn't really change much. I just opened up the valve and put the angle on it and did the freezer tube mod, and that was about it really. I mean, this gun is shooting pretty good. So let me see, 743. Oh yeah, and I want to show you something. This pump cup right here, if you can see how it's deformed, how it looks like the edges was actually pushed out of the pump rod there. You know, I got this out of a gun that's clearly was over pumped, and one thing about over pumping is you're not only you're not building that much pressure, but you're building a lot of heat. So, you know, a stock gun may only pump 10 or 11 times and then really not make that much pressure, but it's still making heat. So, you know, anytime you compress air, it heats up. So that's one of the effects of heat and pressure. So that's actually you know, this thing is pretty hard, and it's, you know, the gun was clearly not pumping. I think I got it at a flea market or somewhere. Anyway, so that's one of the effects of over pumping, you know, when you're not modding. I mean, you know, that my AM-77, that's a modded gun, and it's been like that for, I don't know, I guess I modded it several years ago. But, you know, you got to maintain these guns once you mod them, and, you know, factory gun, they'll last a long time as long as you oil them, but that's one of the effects. So, thanks for watching, guys, and that's it. I mean, we got it, so there we go. All right, thanks, guys.